Hey everyone, it's Rob Stanley with the Ecom Wiz podcast. And today my special guest is Mina Elias. He's CEO of Hydrolyte. Hey Mina, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, so we've been working on getting you on for a while because I got some great questions and we're going to talk today about the supplement business and specifically selling supplements on Amazon. And Mina has an expertise in Amazon PPC, so you're going to want to listen what we talk about, especially when we get to the PPC part. But let's start off with the supplements. Should a new seller on Amazon start off selling supplements?
I mean, if you're passionate about it and you think you can make supplements that are better than what's on the market right now, 100%.
It's kind of a tough industry though, right? I mean, especially for a new seller that's kind of just getting going. Do you recommend it? It's usually kind of a big ramp up there.
So a lot of people say the supplement industry is incredibly competitive on Amazon. It is competitive, 100%. But because it's competitive, it means that there's a lot of money to be made. And I started, I think, with like $500 investment, sourced 100 units. From like a little local manufacturer. Before, like I didn't even know anything about the whole like Amazon business or industry or the groups or anything. So I kind of just winged it. And there is a lot of money to be made. And the number one thing is you just have to make a supplement that's better than what's on the market right now. So I kind of looked at what is the problem and how can I how can I create a solution for it? And I wasn't doing it because I took a course on like how to sell on Amazon or anything. I just was like, hey, I'm looking for the supplement, but I just can't find anything so I was looking for an electrolyte powder. I couldn't find any high sodium electrolyte powders. And sodium for me is very important as someone who, trains hard and sweats a lot and loses a lot of electrolytes. And I was drinking like chicken broth every night. And I said, there's gotta be a better way than drinking chicken broth every night. And so, I found that there was a gap in the market and I just created a solution. And I'm sure there's so many other gaps in the market. And if you think that way, and if you look for, a problem, create a solution that's better than everyone else's solution, validate that there's demand, validate that it's not like a trend or anything like that, then you're good to go.
Yeah. Now, regarding the supplement business, I mean, there's quite a few restrictions around the whole supplement, getting into that. Can you kind of maybe, tell us a little bit about those restrictions and maybe some of the things you dealt with as you were getting into the supplement business?
Awesome. Yeah. So funny story, right? When I was trying to get into, selling supplements on Amazon, I had started the company. I said, I am going to be a supplement company. I didn't even know how I was going to sell the supplements. I said, you know what, maybe I'll just go to a bunch of gyms, a bunch of like supplement stores and pitch them. But then I was like, okay, everyone actually buys on Amazon. So let me try and sell on Amazon. And then I started doing some research and then I started reading you're going to need to get ungated and it's going to be $3,000 to get ungated. And I was like, $3,000, like I don't have $3,000. I'm just like a 9-to-5 employee, like barely have anything in my savings. And obviously it's all lies. Yeah, I didn't need any $3,000 anything. So all you need to get ungated on Amazon is you need the actual product in your hand so you can take pictures of it. And here's a little hack. You do not need the actual product in your hand. You can just get any product and you can print the label at any print shop like FedEx and then stick the label on, an existing product and say, this is what my product looks like. And Amazon's not going to be like, oh, hey, you sent us this like slightly different container than the one that you sent in the picture. Because obviously you'd be like, yeah, well, I just improved my product. Like, what's the problem? And so all you need is a picture of your product. You need an invoice of at least 100 units. And it shows that the invoice is paid in full. Now, there's no way to validate that an invoice has been paid in full. So that's another thing you need to keep in mind. There's no way. Amazon's not calling your supplier and saying, hey, did this guy pay the money? Like, they're not doing that. And then the third thing you need is a certificate of analysis. Certificate of analysis is a document basically saying like that they've analyzed a sample of your product and that it has like, no microbes and no like heavy metals or things like that. Again, not hard to obtain. Most times you can just get it from your manufacturer. And now here's another hack. If you get approved to sell one supplement, you can sell any supplement you want. Now, I basically just made it super easy for anyone who's ever been thinking about selling supplements to sell supplements because I just gave you all the secrets. It's so easy to get to sell supplements on Amazon. You don't need to, like, let's say you're considering like making like me like an electrolyte powder, right? And go and selling it on Amazon. You do not need a certificate of analysis and an invoice for an electrolyte powder. You can just go get it for like some vitamin C, right? And then you can tell them, give me a certificate of analysis for the vitamin C, which is one ingredient, which is super simple because they have that from their supplier, and then you can
Yeah.
just go and submit that, and boom, you're good to go. You're approved. And here's another thing. I got rejected 3 times, and then I got approved. And it's just Amazon. Like they
Yeah.
I wasn't rejected for any good reason. They just said denied, and I was like, okay, reapply with the exact same documents, denied, so on, and then they just approved.
Yeah, I want you to cover a couple more things here too, like FDA. So, I mean, obviously, a supplement is something you're putting into your body. So, what
Hmm.
about like FDA approval? And then also mention where there's people that maybe look at China supplying supplements, maybe why they should
Hmm.
avoid that and use U.S. based supplement companies.
Hmm. So, with FDA labeling, regarding FDA, so the FDA actually does not regulate supplements. So that's something that you guys should be worried about, because you can literally have anything on the market right now, have stuff that's not on the label. Like, let's say, it says like it's only vitamin C. It could have vitamin C and maybe like some sweetener that, like ASK, which is a carcinogen that you wouldn't even know about. And because the FDA doesn't regulate supplements, they're not checking and making you test the supplement. So that's something to worry about. And that's why I say, whenever you source supplements, make sure it's a very, very trusted brand. And I personally do not use supplements other than from like my very trusted, close, like supplement brands that, friends that have supplement brands, or myself and my manufacturer. That's it. Because I know that there's nothing regulating that. The only thing that is regulated is the label. So you have to have an FDA compliant label. And again, that's not hard to make. You just go and look at the FDA regulations on labeling supplements, and it's pretty simple. Now, another thing you have to keep in mind is some people actually source their supplements from China. Now, here is a little bit of a twist. Most ingredients are sourced from China. Okay, so it kind of like, okay, so is it okay to make supplements in China? I don't think it's okay to make supplements in China. I know that the raw ingredients are sourced from, or most of them are sourced from like around the world in China, because the US just doesn't have enough of the raw ingredients around. But what the people that are sourcing those like massive amounts, like tons and tons of raw ingredients, they have very strict like quality assurance protocols in place, because they are based in the US and they can get sued. Now, if you're in China, you cannot get sued, and so like China doesn't have any liability. So you can trust that the wholesalers that are bringing in the massive quantities from China into the US are doing a good job, because you can sue them very, very easily.
Yeah.
Now, if you're thinking about getting stuff done in China, you might be able to save $1, $2 per unit, which might seem significant if you're doing a decent amount of volume, but you can't control the quality. So unless you're going to have someone there in China, unless it's your own factory, you really can't control the quality, and I definitely don't recommend it. I recommend going with someone in the US. You will make a little bit less money, but in the long run, if someone gets sick in the US and they sue you, you can lose your entire LLC. And so I just wouldn't recommend going with China. Sometimes people will do a lot to save a buck, but it's not worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about, are you carrying insurance? Like, is there insurance required to be
Yeah.
able to, sell on Amazon especially for supplements?
I don't know if it's required, but I have
Recommended?
liability. Yeah, it's recommended. I have liability insurance up to $1 million, and I have an umbrella policy up to $10 million. So, you definitely want to be covered, because there are leeches that will come after you, and inevitably. And I was talking to someone who I think was doing like maybe 15 or 20 million a year, and he said, "Listen, I just want to let you know, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at some point in your life as an entrepreneur, you're going to get sued. So,
Yeah.
just know that it's coming. It's inevitable. There's always someone that's trying to make a quick buck off you. And, but, thankfully, I know some good lawyers. So if anything ever happens, you can use the lawyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back around to the supplements selling on Amazon, not too long ago, Amazon really clamped down on some of the wording that was being used, not only in the title, but the description. And there was
Hmm.
kind of some basically false claims being made on certain supplements and vitamins. And a lot of people either got kicked off or they got warned and they had to go fix it. Did you run into that issue? And, maybe kind of elaborate a little bit on what you need to be careful of what you say.
I did not run into that issue because I don't have any claims on my products. But so number one is Amazon knows that, like, anything like weight loss, you know, a testosterone booster, things like that, like where you can make a claim, they're already very stringent on that. So
Hmm.
stay away from making any claims like that this product will result in something. And honestly, that's been something that I've always known, like stay away from claims. And so I've never used claims, but claims basically is saying like, take my supplement and then this will happen. That's a claim. But if you say, you know, aids in like testosterone production, you know, supports natural testosterone levels, aids in boosting metabolism, this is all just like aid, like it helps, you know. So when
Yeah.
you say it helps, you're not making a claim. You're not saying that it's going to result in weight loss. You're not saying that it's going to result in higher testosterone. You're just saying that it's going to help. And so even if it changes it by 0.001%, technically that is helping. So you're not making a claim. So I would stay away from making any claims. I would stay away from saying that your supplement does something, you know, for a fact does something. Even if there are clinical studies backing your supplement or backing the ingredients in your supplement, which I have, you know, but I would never make a claim because it's so easy to take my supplement, not get the result, and say, well, you made a claim that if I take your supplement, I would lose, you know, weight, and I didn't lose weight. So, you know, that's a false claim.
Yeah, absolutely. If there was one thing you could fix about the supplement industry, what would it be?
Regulating. I would 100% like if they could have like something like the FDA that would regulate supplements where you know there was spot checks and they would pull stuff off the shelves and test them you know randomly and stuff like that, the supplement industry would be so much cleaner. The supplement industry is so tarnished. I know like my manufacturer and I like talk a lot, and he said he's had people approach him that said, hey, can you make this supplement for me? This is the label, but can you like sneak in some of these ingredients, you know, ingredients that are known that they're not good for you, but they'll make the flavor. And just so you know, like there's certain ingredients like ASK, it's ace sulfame potassium. Now, ingredients like that in tiny doses, like dramatically improve the flavor of the product. And so, you know, so I've gone to my manufacturer and I said, I brought a product to him. I said, look at this. It's naturally flavored. It's naturally sweetened. It tastes amazing. Like, why can't you make my stuff like that? He's like, do you think I'm a rookie? Like, I know, like, if I could make your stuff taste this good, do you think I wouldn't want to make your stuff this good so you can buy more from me? And I was like, okay, he makes a good point. And he's like, they're just lying because no one can control what you know what you put in your supplement versus what's on the label. And so
Yeah.
that's one thing. Another thing that I want to get rid of is proprietary blends. Now, proprietary blends is the biggest BS that exists out there because this is what happens when you see proprietary blends. Let's say that I put out a new supplement. It's an energy supplement, and you see like proprietary blend of taurine, caffeine, beta alanine, betaine, and a bunch of like cool stuff too, resveratrol, this, that. So I have like 15 ingredients in a proprietary energy blend. Legally, you know, according to the FDA, I can have 99.9% of the that first ingredient and then 0.01 of everything else. And so I could list like 15 different things in there. And the first one could be like glutamine, something cheap, right? And
Yeah.
then or something even cheaper than glutamine, you know, whatever, anything you can think of. And then all of the rest of the ingredients I can put like herbal stuff and green tea extract from this and like diamond powder, right? And I can put all of that stuff. And then but it's fine because as long as I just sprinkle a little bit in, it's legal. And so
Huh.
that's another thing I want to get rid of is okay, if you actually do have really good ingredients in your product, show us how much of everything there is in there. So
Yeah.
that's a couple of things that I would change about the supplement industry. You know, there has been you know, few improvements here and there, but again, without being able to control what goes into the supplements, without being able to control what you can list and what you can say. So you know when how like elderberry went crazy during
Hmm.
coronavirus. So one thing that I could have done, right, and no one probably would have detected it, is I could have bought a ton of gummy bears. I could have
Hmm.
gotten clear bottles, printed labels that said elderberry on it, and then put gummy bears in there, closed them up, labeled them, and sent them to Amazon, and no one would have known. I mean, if you eat an elderberry gummy or a gummy bear, could you tell the difference?
No.
Impossible. You can't. You're gonna have to go and test it at a facility. And who has the money to go test things at a facility? And again, it's Amazon. I can set up a different LLC, can set up this, can set up that, make a quick buck, and I'm out. You know, and
Yeah.
so that's how bad. And I you know, honestly, I would love if Amazon, you know, had some sort of a little bit of a barrier to entry where it's like, okay, send us a sample of your product. We're going to have to test it. I mean, you could still always send one legitimate sample and then the rest of your stuff send it and be like fake. But again, like just a little bit more barrier to entry would help kind of weed out. And when I say barrier to entry, a lot of people are like, okay, well, that's gonna kick out all the small people who I was once a small person, selling supplements. But no, that's not the case, because if you do everything legitimate, and there's 100% ways to do things legitimate and still at low cost, like you can still go out and rent an FDA registered facility for not that much. So when I first started out, I was going to source my own raw materials. I was going to hire an employee, for a day, like someone who had a 9 to 5, and I was gonna just be like, hey, like, you want to come on Saturday? I was gonna pay for an FDA registered facility for one day, send the stuff to them, get that guy over there. We're gonna work from 8 a.m. to like 6 p.m. on a Saturday, fill out all of my stuff and call it a day. Just use the ingredient, the machines that the FDA facility had. And so there's ways to go about it. You don't have to spend a ton of money. You don't have to go to big manufacturers. And another thing that I see in the supplement industry that kills me is the whole like private label. Now, I don't know if you know this, but personally, because of my degrees and my expertise in supplements, I develop everything myself. Like I come up with the formula and everything, and that's why my supplements are better than what's on the market. But manufacturers found a huge opportunity. They said, hey, it's all about marketing, really. So why don't we just get a bunch of marketers and we give them everything, and then they just go market. So they created like a suite of stock products, and they have an energy blend and an omega blend and this and that and that. And it's basically like, your typical like Costco brand, right?
Yeah.
And they have like something of everything. And then you just come to them and they say, okay, our MOQs are low, like 200, 500 units. And we'll just slap on a different label, on the same energy blend that we're giving everyone, on the same omega. And so that is another thing that prevents people from, or it removes from the value. People are not innovating as much because there's a simple way of just like, hey, let's take someone's supplement that's already done and developed and created and everything, and they have it sitting on the shelf, and we'll just put a different label on it.
Yeah, kind of like they do when people source something from China. They just slap their name on it and throw it up there instead of making it different or unique. And that's one thing we talk about a lot of times with the Amazon sellers. Or the Amazon influencers. They're like, hey, make sure you make something unique. You don't necessarily have to develop from scratch when you're at least getting started, but go think of like, hey, what would make this product better? What kind of like extra add-on or thing can we do to set ourselves apart? So, okay, back to the supplement stuff. Where do you kind of see the supplement business going in the next, say, 5 years?
Yes, I think so. I personally believe that after coronavirus, everyone is going to become more and more conscious about taking supplements and being more healthy. So the supplement industry is only growing faster and faster. And I think there's going to be a big shift. So supplements were mainly used for aesthetics, like weight loss, muscle gain, recovery, things like that. And I see a huge shift. And now with coronavirus, you're getting all of the casuals, let's call them casuals, all of the casuals to now be aware that supplements are very important. And I think that the demand is going to shift a little bit. It's not going to decrease in terms of the looks and that kind of stuff, but it's going to increase significantly more in terms of overall like health and well-being. So everyone is going to want things that make them healthier, that make them their immune system better, that make them, whatever it is, like to do with your just like overall general well-being as a normal person, not someone who wants to look good or someone who wants to perform well or anything like that. I think the market is going to shift in that direction, and things are getting more and more convenient. Everyone is innovating more. And I think it's now a lot easier to also go with the single serve packet. So I think we're also going to see a huge increase in the single serve, in the single serve market, because I think for a long time things were like kind of in bags, and then everyone is like, okay, we don't like the bags, we like the containers. And I think things are shifting from the containers to even more convenient, because if you think about it, everything that we do and like the iPhone, whatever, it's always been convenience. And I think, naturally the next step of convenience is going to be single serve things or customized. I think there is going to be a lot of improvement in terms of customization, where it's like, I have a website and you tell me, okay, my name is Rob, I'm this old, I have, this kind of conditions, my genetics are like this or like that. And maybe something to tie into, 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever, where, they're already getting blood samples and swab that. So maybe using that data to identify like the blood types of what the people are, and then connecting that, in the back end to say, okay, based on these predispositions, you would be more suited. So I see more convenience and more customization. And like I said, overall, there's going to be a shift in there. There is more need for being healthy and better well-being, because now everyone is really hyper focused on, most of the people who are dying from COVID, the ones that are not healthy, the ones that, have 2 or 3 pre-existing conditions, obesity, diabetes, whatever. So everyone is going to start being way more conscious about, like, not, people used to be like, oh, I have diabetes, okay, whatever, I'll just take insulin, but now it's going to be like, oh, I have diabetes, like literally I can talk to someone and die. So
Yeah,
things are going to shift a little bit because of COVID.
absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. And, let's kind of transition into like the PPC stuff. How are you currently using PPC for your products? Like not just, like everyday stuff, but also, product launch and then going forward. Explain to everybody how you do your PPC.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, so PPC I think is incredibly important because once you have a good product and a well converting listing, it's pretty much just getting views, more and more views, and I think on Amazon they've become more and more pay to play, and I think the whole organic ranking and even like search find buy works to an extent, but PPC is definitely the fuel to the fire. And so the way that I launch, the way that I like to handle my PPC is I like to be incredibly segmented. And if you ask me what would the ideal situation be, is I would like to have one campaign and then one ad set and then just one keyword, because I will have 100% full control on that keyword, on the bid on that keyword, and I will see all the data just from that keyword, and I'll know that if I bid $100, if I have $100 budget and $1 bid, that all the budget's going to go to that keyword, and there's going to be no control from Amazon. And I think the one thing that sorry, there's a little fly here.
That's all
I
right.
think that I think the one thing that I hate the most is that Amazon has control over like certain parameters. On like, for example, if you have one campaign and then multiple ad sets, and then each ad set you have like 10 keywords, you don't know how much of that budget is going to the different ad sets, and that's something that frustrates me. If I don't have control on how much money is going to each ad set, Amazon could easily do 90% here, 5, and then I'm like, okay, but no, I just wanted to, the money to go to the 3 ad sets. So the more granular, the more structured you are, the better. Now, here's how I structure it. When I go launch, I have auto campaign. I'll launch 4 auto campaigns. There's a close match, loose match, complements, and substitutes. Those are the 4 targeting groups that, in auto campaigns. And I'll do the 4 auto campaigns segmented by each targeting group. So I'll turn off the other 3 targeting groups and turn on only one of them. Because I've noticed that sometimes my substitutes perform incredibly well, but my complements do not perform well. Now, if I have one budget for all of the auto campaign and then 4 targeting groups, yeah, sure, I can change the bids of the different targeting groups, but I only have one budget, so I can't really scale the budget if one of the groups is not performing well. But if I have them segmented, I can really scale up the budget on the ones that are performing well and scale down the budget, or you just lower the bids on the ones that are not. Now, after the 4 auto campaigns, I want to launch a lot of discovery campaigns, and then from there take that and then launch a lot more campaigns. And the overall goal, like big picture, is basically I want to discover every single keyword possible that is relevant to my product, and discover every single ASIN possible that is also relevant to my product, whether that's a direct competitor or even something complementary. So if I'm selling like an electrolyte powder, even if it's a keto crisp, someone on keto is looking for electrolyte powder. So
Yeah.
if there's a chance that they click on that keto crisp and they scroll down and they're like, you know what, I also needed a keto electrolyte powder. They click on me, they're like, okay, this is pretty good, I'm going to buy it. The price is good, high reviews, whatever. I want to show up there. So to do that, I need to discover that stuff first and then bid on it. So, mainly for discovery, I have broad and phrase. And then, obviously the auto is doing discovery all the time. And then once I discover all the keywords, I'll launch them in all the different match types. And a lot of people will do this whole like outdated thing of put it in broad and then take it from broad to phrase to exact. It doesn't make sense, because the different keywords perform differently in different match types. They're like different keywords. So electrolyte powder in broad and electrolyte powder in phrase is completely 2 different keywords. They
Yeah.
perform differently. So there's no point in thinking that when you take one keyword out of broad, put it in phrase, that it's going to perform the same, or if it's doing well in broad, it's going to do well in phrase. So like, let's negative it in broad. Like that's an outdated and I think a false, way of thinking. So once I, so let's say during the launch, I'll do the 4 auto campaigns. Then I'll do my main keyword, just one keyword in broad, phrase, and exact. So 3 campaigns, just one keyword each campaign, because I really want to pump some money in that main keyword and drive some visibility. And especially if I'm doing things like search, find, buy, I need to have some sort of control on how high I show up in the search, because obviously you're going to be, when you launch, you're on page 20, 30, whatever. So I want, if I'm, running some PPC, at least the people doing the search, find, buy can scroll to like page 2 and find my, sponsored ad and click on it and buy there. And then from there, I'll do the same thing with the top 10 keywords. So again, the top 10 very relevant, high search volume keywords, I'll put them in broad, phrase, and exact. And then I'll launch, if I'm branded, so like I am branded, I have Hydrolyte. So I'll launch a bunch of branded campaigns. So broad, phrase, and exact, anything that says Hydrolyte, MMA Nutrition, Hydrolyte Electrolytes, whatever, any misspellings, anyone who's looking for me, I want to bid on that keyword. And then I'll target my own product to block out competition, but also to sort of like upsell. You can't upsell on Amazon, right? But if you click on my listing and you scroll down and you see like one of my other products, it's pretty much like upselling. You're like, oh, I'm looking at the unflavored version, scroll down and I see like the mango pineapple that just launched. It's like amazing. I actually wanted the mango pineapple. I didn't want the unflavored one. So that's generally what I do for launch. And then from there, it's pretty much pulling everything that I've discovered from the search term reports and putting them in broad, phrase, and exact. And if they're ASINs, putting them in product targeting campaigns, finding any, category that I can target that, and just continuously adjusting the bids. Now, obviously people will say, hey, if you launch every single keyword, you're going to become very unprofitable. I said, well, I didn't say that we have to bid high on every single keyword. You just bid on every single keyword. And if it's not performing, just lower the bid, lower the bid, lower the bid. It's eventually either going to be profitable or it's just not going to get any impressions and clicks and you got nothing to lose. But there is something to be said about buyer psychology, because maybe if you're showing up on the top of page 1, there's a lot of window shoppers. But if you show up on the top of page 3, someone going that deep has high buyer intent, is going to click on you and, much more likely to buy you. And so that's when you can see yourself being a little bit more profitable. So that's why I'm always saying you need to optimize the bids, because you don't know. Maybe, in the middle of page 2, you're getting too many clicks, not enough sales, but top of page 3 is just enough a barrier that if someone is going to page 3 and clicking on you, they have high buyer intent.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of good information. And, let's tell us a bit about, you started the PPC University. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and, what people can expect if they go to the ppcuniversity.com site?
So the main reason behind starting that is, when I first launched on Amazon supplement brand, I was like a small fish in a very big pond, and I was competing with big brands like Optimum Nutrition, BSN, and so on and so forth. And there was no way for me to compete with someone that big. I needed some sort of an edge. And I started noticing that I was actually getting a lot of sales from PPC. And so I said, it was kind of like I saw like a little bit of like a glimmer of hope, like, hey, maybe this is something that can actually work out. So I like went deep into PPC. I started talking to consultants, going to conferences, asking like, big brands, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing for PPC? And, mainly the ones that weren't branded, like the non-BSN, the non-Optimum Nutrition ones. And, I looked for resources, looked for a course, and there was no good information out there on it. So I said, you know what? There's no good information. I just guess I just have to learn myself and split test and spend some money. And so I spent, I think, over $150,000 just testing different things, launching this campaign, that campaign, talking to, some PPC agencies here and there, talking to, brand owners and so on and so forth. And finally, I was like, you know what? Let me like put out some videos for people, because I wanted to help people. And this was mainly in the Brax group. I said, let me put out some videos to people. It'll at least clear up some stuff that I like personally struggled with at the beginning. And so put out video after video after video. And then people were like, show us more, show us more. I said, you know what? There is a significant need for this thing. And I don't teach PPC in a way where it's like, hey, do this, and this, and you're going to get a result. I just wanted to explain to you, how it works. That's all. It's like, imagine I gave you Excel and I said, let me just give you a course on how to use Excel. And then from there, do whatever you want with it. And that's pretty much the PPC University. It's like a step-by-step kind of instructional on all the different bits and pieces and all the different like knobs and gadgets that you can expect to find in Amazon PPC, how they work. And then I help you make your own decisions. And then once you make your own decisions, how do you assess the results of those decisions? You decided to create a campaign and do 1, 2, and 3. Where do you go and find the results of that decision that you decided to make? And then based on those results, how do you adjust what you're currently doing? So it's strictly like think of it as a technical course. It teaches you, how PPC works, what are the different things you can do, how to assess the different things that you've done, and then, how to take it from there. And so, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. So let's learn a little bit more about Mina. So if you don't know, Mina is actually an MMA fighter. So why don't you tell us like what brought you into the fighting, doing the MMA world and training for fighting and all that? What kind of led into that?
I've always been like into like, fighting and kung fu and stuff like that. I like watch that stuff like Jean-Claude Van Damme and stuff like that, and Jackie Chan on like TV. And I was always just been drawn to it. And 2013, my friend hits me up and he's like, dude, I just joined MMA. Today was my first class. It's so cool. You would love it. And, as soon as he did that, I was like, you know what? There's no way like that he's going to do it and I'm not. So I looked up, I Google searched like MMA gyms near me, and there was one, a Renzo Gracie facility
Gracie.
right near me. And
Yeah.
if people don't know, yeah, Renzo Gracie is like one of the biggest gyms in America. And so I showed up there. They're like, "Do you want to try class?" I said, "Sure." They put me into wrestling. I did wrestling for one day, came out, and they're like, "How do you like it?" I was like, "I want to sign up," and signed up for a year. And then from there, never looked back. And honestly, I think it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me because as a workout, it's incredible, obviously, but I've always been in shape, but the mental aspect of it is what really like it shifted my mindset, made me more accountable. It was always, everything was on me, right? If I lost a jiu-jitsu tournament, it was on me. If I lost a fight, it was on me. It was kind of like, hey, you need to show up, because at the end of the day, it's on you. You're accountable. Don't make any excuses. And the one person that really like helped me like see all those things was my former coach, Nick Newell. He was based out of Connecticut. He has one arm, and so he fights with one arm. And he was always like, how could you ever make an excuse around a guy that has one arm and is beating you up? Are you gonna say, oh, like my back hurts today? He's gonna be like, oh yeah, like that's a great excuse. Maybe that's gonna help you out in your fight. He's that kind of guy. He's like, yeah, keep making those excuses. I'm sure you're gonna beat your opponent with those excuses. And it was like, he was that kind of guy. Like, takes no bullshit. There's no excuses, none of that stuff. And he really helped me understand like what it is to be accountable for all of your actions, and to understand that where you are today is 100% based on your decisions, not based on circumstances, not based on your environment, not based on any of that kind of stuff. And so I think it's been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I go into business with the same mindset, like no excuses. I will never fail. The only time that I'll ever fail is if I quit. Everything's on me. If I'm not where I am today, it's not because of COVID. It's not because of the government. It's not because of Trump or Obama. It's because of my actions and my decisions. And so, it really taught me to like that mental grit and nonstop keep moving forward. And, I'm very grateful for that, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that. And MMA nutrition wouldn't exist.
That's right. That's right. You got to get that in there. I agree with you. I mean, both my daughters have black belts. They both went through the whole process. It definitely taught them, they were younger, and it taught them to finish what they start, right? When they got to that black belt test, it took, 2 or 3 tries. And each time they had to wait 6 months to retry again. Mm-hmm. And so you're talking a year and a half before they finally got it, but they never quit. I mean, there's times they wanted to, but we kept like saying, you got to finish this. You got to finish. You put all these years in, you got to finish it. And you know what? That was quite a few years ago. My daughters are obviously a lot older, but that instilled in them that when you start something, you finish it. And that has absolutely made an incredible, made them incredible in the sense that, anything they start, they go 100% at it and they finish it. My daughter's a junior in college right now. She's going to be a senior next year and finish up, and she's going to be all done. My other daughter, she wants to be a lawyer, and she's only second year in high school. So she's still got a ways to go. But so why don't you also tell us, so Hydrolyte, Hydrolyte, what led you to start Hydrolyte?
So that's a good question. So that was the one I was talking about where, I was drinking the sodium, the chicken broth every night. And so, I was obviously training very, very hard, and I was on keto at the same time. you know, being on keto, some people don't know, but your body, because of the drop in the sugar levels, the blood sugar levels, and insulin and stuff, insulin responses, you start flushing a lot of electrolytes from the body. So it's very important for you to replenish those electrolytes, or you get hit with the keto flu. And in general, like a person who works out as hard as I do at the gym in MMA, like I'm sweating easily 2 or 3 pounds of water every workout. And so I was losing a lot of electrolytes, and every night I had to go and I had to like drink chicken broth or whatever, just so I can get that sodium back in. And you know, I was looking for like potassium pills, magnesium pills, and it was just getting very frustrating doing all that. And I said, I wish there was just something on the market that did that, you know. And I looked at Amazon, and there was nothing. There was nothing for keto, because I did keto like before keto was kind of like big, or it had just started like becoming a thing. And so you know, I said, you know what, the first supplement I'm create is something that I'm gonna take, that's gonna work for me. And so I created like a performance enhancing electrolyte powder, and basically it's sodium, potassium, magnesium, and the forms of the sodium, potassium, magnesium are carbonate and citrate. And what the carbonates and citrates do is they fight the lactic acid in your muscles, so it makes that burn feeling, like when you're doing a lot of exercise, that burn, it reduces it. But on top of that, I did some research, and it turns out that you need sugar for like the body to absorb electrolytes effectively. I said, there's no way I'm going to do sugar on keto, like that, you know, would ruin the whole thing. So I kept looking and looking, and I found out that you can also use an amino acid to serve the same purpose. And so I said, you know what's a really good amino acid for this? It's taurine. So taurine was, you know, very commonly used by cyclists and Olympic cyclists to enhance their performance, you know, during like their, you know, whatever, there's like long cycling things. And so I added that in, and I said, okay, here we go. We have, you know, 3 very, very strong electrolytes in there at very high doses. And I think I'm one of the only supplements on the market that has a high level of sodium. And people think sodium is bad for you, but it's only bad for you if you're doing a lot of sodium and no water. But if you're drinking a lot of water with no sodium, then you're just losing all the water, because there's a balance in the body. And so I was drinking a gallon of water a day, not taking in enough sodium. So I said, I need to fix that. So increased, you know, all of my electrolyte levels. My water intake became a lot better, because now I wasn't going to the bathroom every 2 minutes, because my body's actually able to retain that water, is, you know, save it in the muscles, and my muscles were performing better. And so that's kind of how Hydrolyte came about. And I still remember, like, I put it in like a few bags, and I gave it to my friends at the gym, and I said, hey guys, like, this company trusted me, this new supplement company trusted me with these samples. No one else on the market has them. They're like a good, like, you know, performance enhancing supplement. And they all tried it and said, wow, like after like a few days, they said, wow, this actually really works well. And I was like, oh, awesome. Like, this is my stuff. And they all thought that I was kidding. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Sure. You know, like, just let us know when we can buy this stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. And then, you know, I was like, okay, cool. You know, this stuff actually works. And it's not just me being biased and like towards that it's my own like formula, you know?
Yeah. So I can testify for Mina. I know it works. I've been working out close to almost 3 years now. I work out every morning. I get up at like 5:15 in the morning. I get on my elliptical for 45 minutes. I do my sit-ups, my push-ups, the whole thing. And sure enough, and just so everybody knows, I went and bought it. I paid Mina full price, went on Amazon, purchased it myself. So nobody can say anything. So nobody can say anything about it, that I actually went and bought it myself. And it was to support somebody I know. You know, Mina's a great guy, but also just so everybody's aware, I needed electrolytes. I had been taking stuff. The stuff I was taking wasn't that great, and I was buying it off Amazon, but it just wasn't as good. I actually had issues with electrolytes almost a year ago, and I had to increase it. So I started taking some, and then when I found out Mina was doing it, and what the amount of time and energy he put into coming up with this formula, that is the reason I went and bought it. It was because it was exactly what I needed. And gosh, I think it's probably been about a month I've been taking it now. And I love it. I mean, I don't ever feel dehydrated. I mean, you still got to drink water and stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Of course,
it's not a replacement, but it's one of those things that as soon as I get done working out, even though I know you said to use it before you work out, I end up actually drinking about 32 ounces after I get done. And then I'm always drinking water the rest of the day. So it's a great thing. And, you know, that's just my personal opinion. Everybody else go out there and give it a try, right? Give it a try. Especially I'm looking forward to the new banana, banana mango? Right?
No, I have mango pineapple. That's out.
Mango
I'll send
pineapple.
you a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah, mango pineapple. And then just so everybody knows, he also has ones that's not flavored. it's zero flavor. My daughter's been asking about that one because she's not big on any flavoring. And so, and actually, I think it's one of your best sellers, right? Your
Yeah, it's
non-flavored
the
one.
best seller. Yep,
Yeah.
yeah. The mango pineapple one tastes incredible, and like it took a few trials to get it to taste that good. But then the unflavored one crushes, and I'm like so surprised. I was like, people really like, just want like unflavored stuff. But I guess it works if you're like already taking like a pre-workout or something, and you
Yeah.
just want to add like a little bit of unflavored electrolytes in there.
So let's go a little bit more into, tell everybody a little bit more about you, specifically talk about chemical engineer. Do you have a chemical engineering
Yeah,
degree? Did I get that right? Why don't you tell us,
correct.
like, how much school did you go to for that? Obviously, it's paying off because you're doing a lot of stuff with,
Yeah,
making sure all the right
supplements.
chemicals are in there and all the supplements are
Yeah.
good. Tell everybody a bit about, kind of your history and what brought you up to, starting Hydrolyte and everything.
So I was born in Cairo, Egypt, and then when I was 2, moved to Dubai. Grew up there till I was 18, and then moved to college here in 2011 when I was 18. And then
Here being
got my
California?
no, no, no. Actually, it was Connecticut.
Okay.
So it wasn't the best decision to go to Connecticut, but I thought all of America was the same. So, but I was young, so you guys got to cut me a break. Um, and so I went to Connecticut, got my bachelor's in chemical engineering, got my bachelor's in chemistry as well, and then worked in the industry, manufacturing. I worked for a surgical device company, new product development. Then went back for my master's in industrial engineering, and then I was working the 9 to 5 and started going up and up and up the ranks. And eventually, it was kind of like, dude, I'm sick and tired of like doing this. Like, I hate waking up every morning at 4:30, going to work for someone else for 9 hours, commuting, 45 minutes each way, coming back. I would literally, like, after MMA and training and everything, I would be out of my house at 4:30, only come back to my house at 9:30 p.m. And like that was my day. And I would literally go into my house, shower and everything, maybe 15 minutes and be in bed by like 9:45, 9:50, just so I can wake up again at 4:30. So it was a very tough lifestyle. I said, it doesn't look like I can do much of anything, living like that. And so I decided, like, maybe just the 9 to 5 wasn't for me. And that's when I kind of, I was on vacation with my dad, and he had mentioned like, hey, why don't you look into opening up your own supplement company? And I didn't know anything about opening up businesses or anything like that. And so I said, you know what, why not? Let me look into it. And I looked into it, and I looked at, creating the LLC, came up with the formula, said, okay, how much would the raw ingredients cost? How much would the packaging cost, the stickers, the design, and came up with like a rough like feasibility analysis. And I said, you know what, this could actually work. Like I could actually make this. It looks like on paper you can source it for $6 and sell it for like $25 on Amazon. So I was like, oh, clear winner. Obviously unaware of like all the additional fees and the Amazon fees and everything that goes into it. But again, I said, hey, like let me just try it out. And I wasn't one of those people that said, let me theoretically think about it for like 10 years. And then if it makes sense in my mind, then it's going to make sense on paper. Yeah. So I wasn't one of those people that was like, hey, let me think about it for 10 years. And if it made sense in my mind, then, it's going to work out. It was like, let me just try it. And it either works out or it's not, but I'm going to have a definite answer. And so I just went ahead and like I said, made 100 units my first time, sent it to Amazon. And they sold, and I said, okay, well, I guess people wanted, got another 400, another 800 units. And then from there, it just kept growing and growing. And, I made my fair share of mistakes. I think killed about 5 different products.
Yeah.
I've killed them, made them, killed them. I think one of my biggest mistakes was I believed so much in one product. I spent $45,000 buying stock of that product, and without validating demand through sales.
Yeah.
And I put it up on Amazon, and my efforts did not match. And I mean, I wouldn't say that it's a complete failure. I'm selling like maybe 5 units a day still, but I have 5,000 units of that
Yeah.
product, and it's moving like at 5 units a day. So it's gonna take technically 1,000 days to sell off. So look, we're still figuring out. I'm trying to figure out what to do with that, but I've made my fair share of mistakes. So I know some people might be listening to this and be like, wow, this guy, like, got the degrees, this, that, and made up his product, and now he's selling and like making millions. Like, no, it's not like, it wasn't like a nice and easy road. It was like a lot of failures, a lot of mistakes. And I was one of those people that I wish that I even knew courses existed when I started, because I just learned everything on my own by like just trying it, making mistakes, calling Seller Central. So if anyone out there is like, has any doubts in their minds, like please remove them, because they're just in your mind. Just like go for it. Don't listen to anyone. if I had listened to the people who said it was $3,000 to ungate my product, to like get ungated to sell supplements on Amazon, I would still be miserable in my 9 to 5. So just like go for it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody out there is listening, wants to get a hold of Mina, why don't you go ahead and give them information on how they get a hold of you and your websites and everything?
So get a hold of me on Facebook. It's mina.elias.7 or just Mina Elias, and you'll find me in the search with the same red shirt that I'm wearing. Instagram at Egyptian_prescription_Elias. LinkedIn, you'll find me, Mina Elias, and I guess that's it. My the website, if you want to check out Hydrolyte, is gohydrolyte.com. We're on Amazon, obviously, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
And don't forget the PPC University. Go check that out. And Mina, a real pleasure having you on the Ecom Wiz podcast. Thanks so much.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit feedbackwiz.com.